I sat in the third row at my younger sister's wedding, clutching a glass of champagne that tasted like betrayal, my heart sinking under the weight of a room too polished, too perfect. My son, Luca, swung his legs beside me, proud in a suit that cost me 2 paychecks. He thought today would weave us back into the family. I dared to hope the same. Vivian, my sister, glided through the day like a starlet, radiant, adored, always the golden child. She basked in compliments. I swallowed comparisons. She owned the spotlight. I lingered in shadows. Yet I showed up. I smiled. I clapped when they kissed. I steadied my voice when guests remarked, "You're the older sister? You don't look like you have an 8-year-old." Then came the speeches. The groom's best friend spoke first. Mildly funny anecdotes, light laughter. Then Vivian's turn. I expected sentiment, perhaps a nod to our shared past. I raised my glass, naive. I should have known better. She lifted her crystal flute, beaming. "I want to thank everyone for coming," she began, glowing. "It means the world to have you here. And of course, I want to say something special about my big sister." I smiled at Luca. He beamed back, excited. For a fleeting moment, I believed kindness was coming. Vivian continued, "Laura's been such a role model. A single mom, strong, independent, and clearly unwanted by anyone else." The room erupted in laughter. My stomach churned. I thought I'd misheard, but her charming smirk confirmed it. Some guests looked puzzled, but most laughed harder, clinking glasses like it was all in jest. My heart pounded. Luca tugged my sleeve, whispering, "Why did she say that, Mama?" Before I could answer, my mother, Judith, chimed in loudly from her table. "She's a used product, but hey, she still looks good for her age." Sharper laughter followed, slicing through me. It marked me as entertainment, pity, shame, not family, not a guest. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. My face burned, but I refused tears, not in front of Luca. My fingers gripped the napkin under the table like a lifeline. I scanned the room for compassion. My grandfather stared at his plate. My cousin smirked at her phone. Even my uncle, who once said I reminded him of my late father, avoided my gaze. Luca looked lost, his eyebrows furrowed, hurt. That broke me. Not the words, not the laughter, but my son witnessing his mother mocked by her own family. I wanted to flee, to grab Luca and never look back. But I hesitated. I wanted to speak, to defend myself, to say they didn't know half of what I'd endured. My mouth was dry, my legs trembled. Then a chair scraped back. Callum, the groom, Vivian's polished fiancé, stood slowly. He didn't smile. His eyes locked on me and the room froze. Something was coming. Not a rescue, not a fight. A reckoning. People think being the older sibling means leading, being admired. In our family, I was a cautionary tale. I'm Laura, 34, a single mom, the black sheep. I live in a modest 2-bedroom apartment on the town's edge with Luca, 8, the best thing in my life, the reason I face rooms that shrink me. I work 2 jobs. Mornings at a cafe, nights at a hotel's front desk. Life isn't glamorous, but it's mine. I make Luca pancakes on Saturdays, sew patches on his jeans. He calls me his superhero. That's enough. But in my family, being a single mom meant failure. My mother, Judith, ensured I felt it at every holiday dinner. She values appearances. She called Vivian's wedding a second chance for the family name. Vivian, 5 years younger, is beautiful, successful, handed everything, yet always made it look earned. She's the golden child. Judith adores her. If Vivian sneezed, Judith offered a silk handkerchief. If I fell ill, I was told to take vitamins and stop being dramatic. When I got pregnant with Luca at 25, everything shifted. In love with a man who swore he'd stay, I was alone by month 5. No note, no explanation. My family offered silence, judgment, and "I told you so." But holding Luca for the first time drowned out their cruelty. Still, I hoped they'd see me, not just a single mom, but someone worth loving. Maybe that's why I accepted Vivian's wedding invitation. Despite not being in the bridal party, my name misspelled on the RSVP, renting a dress and doing my hair in the bathroom mirror while Luca practiced smiling in his tie. I told myself it was for closure, perhaps a quiet olive branch. The venue was stunning. White roses, gold-accented tableware, a string quartet. Vivian, a bridal magazine vision, soaked in every compliment. When she passed me, her smile wavered. "You made it," she said, as if surprised, then to Luca, "He's getting big." No hug, no warmth, just small talk before returning to her spotlight. Judith ignored me, gliding past like I was staff, but Luca glowed, marveling at the chandelier, whispering that Vivian looked like a princess. His joy kept me at the reception, despite the ache of not belonging. Table 9, near the restrooms, felt fitting. I laughed quietly, helped Luca with his tie when chocolate mousse stained it, and avoided Judith's gaze, ignoring my name whispered over clinking glasses. Then the speeches began, and I knew this night wasn't about unity or forgiveness. It was Vivian's stage, and I was her punchline. She stood, posture perfect, champagne flute in her manicured hand, dress shimmering. The room hushed. "I want to thank all of you for being here," she said. "It's the happiest day of my life, surrounded by those who mean everything." I tried to believe I was included. Luca, enchanted, kicked his legs. Vivian spoke of Callum, love, and fate. I relaxed, hoping for kindness. Then she turned. "And, of course, a shout-out to my big sister," she said slyly. The spotlight found me. I sat straighter, smiled politely. "She's the bravest woman I know. Raised a child alone. No husband, no partner, just her, and whoever was kind enough to babysit." The room chuckled. My stomach tightened. "Seriously," she added, "it's incredible how she's managed. A single mom, unwanted by anyone, but still showing up." Loud, unfiltered laughter hit me. My cheeks burned, hands froze on the napkin. Luca frowned, confused, scanning the laughing crowd. Then Judith, louder than all, added, "She's a used product, but she still polishes up well." Cruel laughter followed, unmasked. My vision blurred. It felt like a slap, though no one touched me. They laughed as if mocking a woman who raised her son with dignity was normal, as if being alone diminished me. Luca whispered, "Why did she say that? What does she mean?" I had no words to shield him. My heart raced. I searched for an exit, for someone to intervene. No one did. Some looked uneasy but stayed silent, staring at glasses, plates, phones. Even Grandpa Norman, who called me his little lion, avoided my gaze. He was there but not with me. I was alone. I could have endured it for myself. I've swallowed such treatment for years. I could have smiled, taken Luca, and left with my head high. But seeing his confusion, his struggle to grasp why his mother was a joke, cracked me open. I stood, not to speak or make a scene, but to escape, to breathe. As I pushed my chair back, trembling, another chair scraped. Callum stood, pale, jaw tight. He took the microphone from Vivian without asking. The room fell silent, the air heavy. I knew this wasn't planned. Callum stood, one hand on the table, the other gripping the microphone, eyes on me, not Vivian, not Judith, not the crowd. I braced for a joke, a charming deflection, the usual family rug sweeping. But he didn't smile. His face held anger, disbelief, disappointment. As I reached for Luca to leave quietly, his voice stopped me. "Lara, don't go." Everyone turned to him. Whispers stirred. Vivian stiffened. Judith's eyes narrowed. The DJ paused at the controls when Callum raised a hand. "I can't pretend I'm okay with what just happened," he said, low, firm, calm. "I won't stand here and let cruelty pass as comedy." The room held its breath. He stepped forward, deliberate, stopping near our table. Luca, me, cold salad plates. He faced the guests. "I've heard a lot about family this past year planning this wedding. Appearances, tradition, loyalty. But what I just saw wasn't family. It was mockery dressed as celebration." The crowd shifted. Some glanced at Judith. Others stared at drinks. No one spoke. He turned to Vivian. "You mocked your sister for being a single mother, for raising a child without help. You laughed, and worse, you made her son watch." Vivian opened her mouth, silent. Callum didn't pause. She didn't ask for that position, but she did it. She showed up today, sat in the back, smiled, brought her son to your big day, and you made it a joke. Vivian looked small for the first time. He faced the room. Lara didn't stand to defend herself or ask for sympathy. She's never needed a stage. But I won't stay silent. If I'm marrying into a family that sees cruelty as humor and shame as tradition, I need to reconsider what kind of man I want to be. Gasps spread. A woman whispered, "Is this real?" A fork clattered. Luca's wide eyes met mine. I stood frozen, holding his hand. I expected to survive the night, not be defended like this. Callum nodded softly at Luca. "Your mom's the strongest person here. Don't forget that." To the crowd, he said, "I've seen enough." He set the microphone down, walked past Vivian without a glance, and left. The music didn't resume. The crowd didn't move. The fairy tale shattered, but I wasn't the one broken. When Callum exited, the room stilled. No claps, no cheers, just the air conditioner's hum and a spoon clinking a glass. Vivian stood, posture broken, shoulders sagging. Her audience wasn't smiling. Some were shocked, some embarrassed, a few angry, not at Callum, but her. Judith stood, chair screeching. "What an ungrateful boy," she snapped. "He embarrassed you. Typical, like your sister, selfish." Her voice fell flat, her power gone. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. For once, I didn't shrink under her words. I turned to Luca, his eyes unsure. "Are we leaving?" he asked. "Yes, baby," I said, brushing his hair. "We're going home." I stood tall, took his hand, and walked out. People parted. Some avoided my eyes. Others seemed to want to speak, but couldn't. Halfway to the door, Grandpa Norman called, "Lara?" He stood, pale, eyes red. "I'm sorry," he said, voice shaky. "I should have stopped it years ago." I nodded, unable to speak. I didn't hate him for his silence. I knew its cost. I wasn't angry, but I wasn't carrying their guilt anymore. Outside, the air was crisp. Luca squeezed my hand. "Is the wedding over?" I smiled. "Yeah, I think it ended how it needed to." We drove home, radio off, just tires humming and Luca tapping the armrest. I tucked him in, kissed his forehead, lingered by his door. He didn't ask more questions. The next morning, my phone showed missed calls from cousins, guests I barely knew. I ignored them. A friend's text. "Someone recorded Callum's speech. It's on Facebook. Over 50,000 views. See the comments. People are standing up for you." I watched the video. Callum's calm voice, me frozen, holding Luca's hand. Comments poured support. "This man is a hero." She deserved better. Every single mom just got justice. I didn't cry or smile. Something clenched inside me for years finally released. Vivian tried to spin it, claiming Callum overreacted, that it was a joke, people were too sensitive. But the truth landed. No one laughed. Days later, wildflowers arrived at my apartment, a card reading, "To the Lioness." No note, but I knew. The wedding didn't happen. Something bigger did. I wasn't the one carrying shame or apologizing. I walked out with Luca, my dignity, my head high. Someone reminded a room, and maybe the internet, what strength means. 6 months later, Vivian and Callum ended their engagement quietly. Vivian resumed her social life, erasing the night's photos. She hasn't contacted me. I didn't expect her to. Judith called once, not to apologize, but to say I'd embarrassed the family by not laughing. I listened for 30 seconds, then said, "I'm not your scapegoat anymore." I hung up, clean, final. I didn't need their apology or change. I needed to stop waiting for their permission to see my worth. My life hasn't transformed. I still work long hours, make pancakes for Luca, dinner for me. But I carry myself differently. No more hunching under shame. I don't hide in back rows. Luca's changed too, asking smart questions about cruelty and bravery. He sees Callum as a hero, mimics giving speeches for the little guy. I know that night shaped the man he'll become. Strong, gentle, unafraid to speak. One night, brushing our teeth, Luca asked, "Mom, Are you still sad about what Aunt Vivian said? I paused. Not anymore. Why? He shrugged, toothpaste on his chin. Because I think you won, even though it wasn't a fight. He was right. I didn't yell, insult, or demand justice. I stood, held Luca's hand, and walked away. Someone else, unexpectedly, broke the silence. Callum didn't just defend me. He showed what love looks like. Not in a tuxedo, but in saying, "No, not today." Being alone doesn't mean unwanted. Kindness isn't weakness. Dignity, reclaimed, is untouchable. I didn't dance at Vivian's wedding, toast, or cry under fairy lights, but I left with something better. My head high, Luca beside me, and the certainty I owe no one an explanation. That's the ending no one expected, the one I deserved. If this story moved you, if you felt small or silenced among those who should have stood by you, know your voice and dignity matter. You're not alone. If you found strength here, like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and comment below. Have you had a moment where someone stood up for you, or you stood for yourself? For more true stories that cut deep, challenge expectations, and remind us what it means to be human, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thank you for being here.